Welcome to 13. Let's go. Okay, this week's going to be a little bit different. Talked about this a couple times on a couple of different things this week. We're going to talk about, this is important, it's time sensitive as well. It's very time sensitive. But we're going to talk about remaining independent contractors. I'm not going to get into the Department of Labor rule change. I'm not going to talk about the March 11th date, but this is extremely time sensitive. Meaning, if you can help, and I'm going to explain this right now, please do it as soon as you can. If you can't do it for a week or two, it's still going to help. But the quicker that we can get numbers of these, the better. We know that many states are pushing legislation that will affect gig workers, both traditional and platform-based. Again, this is to remain independent contractors versus employees or franchise workers, which are in essence employees. So if you are if you want to be an employee of Uber, Lyft, then this isn't going to be for you if you want to be an employee. If I was going to go back to a W-2, there is not a chance that W-2 would be with these gig companies. The gig companies benefit me only when they remain an independent contractor platform. So many of the states' legislation is going, they're all a little different. There's some things they're going after that we'll like. Caps on workers in areas to make sure that there's not 600% of drivers needed at a time. Now, some people will backlash that, well, that sucks because then I won't be able to get on. There's already ways that they're making it so you can't get on, or that they get you on when they want you to be on. So to be honest, a cap might be needed. We're gonna have to meet in the middle on some of these. Trust me. There are things coming down the pipe that they're coming, and they could be a lot worse. So this is why this is important. Most of the states that are pushing legislation, some of it looks okay, some of it does not look okay in those said states. The reason that we got to this point is because people were writing their senators, their elected officials. So we created driverrights.org. Mike Harubi created New Jobs America for Be My Own Boss. And we were trying to get people to, these websites can write your elected officials for you. We're you guys feel free and please do. You can still use those and they still help. But what will really help at this point? We tackled around this a lot. First things first, I understand that with many of you, the first and biggest issue, there's a lot, we all have so many issues with a lot of these apps. But the first and biggest one is pay. Get that. If something pays nothing, how do you live off it? If something pays next to nothing, how do you live off it? If something pays next to nothing times 4, how do you live off it? So we've got to find some balance there, but now is not the time. And I'm going to say this very carefully because I've had talks with Mike about this, and he has a lot more experience than any of us with this stuff. So what I would say is, we need to focus first on the independent contractorship. As I've always said, the space isn't defined. So now we're getting legislation. Well, the legislation, if it starts hearing things like, I'm not making as much, or this sucks, and I used to do really well, I want to make more money. That's a pro to be an employee, believe it or not. You're not fighting for independent contractorship because the unions grab that and say, oh, you're not making enough. You're making $3 less than you were. They can run with that. That's something they can use to their advantage. So what can we do? Right now, again, the fight, we will get to pay. Can we demand that they pay us $1 million per delivery? No, but we will get to pay. But first we have to lock in and secure these rights, because we are already seeing, Seattle's a perfect example. There are drivers who are getting almost next to no orders, who were the drivers who wanted legislation. They got it. The companies backlashed, and now it's only hurting the drivers up there. Specifically delivery. So as many of you know, I've teamed up with Mike Harubi at New Jobs America. He is responsible for the Be Your Own Boss, Be My Own Boss legislation. Yes, legislation, and good legislation. Very easy to remain an independent contractor. Mike's solution is simple, makes sense, and there's no reason it shouldn't be that easy. We will get into that at a different time. What we have to do today, we have to come up with a unique way of combating all the people who wrote their congressmen and elected officials over the past few years and said, listen, I'm not making enough in the gig economy. I can't even make minimum wage, or after expenses this. Like I've always said, not everybody is designed to work in the gig economy. Both traditional, in the traditional, it's more self-employed. You've started a business, and it's the same here, but it really is that. You got to make that business work. But both sides are being affected. But what we need to do is we need to find a unique way to combat all the people who have emailed the officials, because all they have are stacks of emails saying why the platforms suck and how these people who are emailing can't make the even minimum wage, or, after expenses, they're making like $3. Okay, again, not everybody's made for this. I've worked in the service industry for decades before I did gig economy work. Not everybody is designed for this. But if you can optimize it, if you are a hustler, if you are somebody who is service industry oriented and can do that kind of work, this is a godsend. Yes, it needs correcting, but I would challenge 99% of you to tell me that your W-2 job is perfect and there's nothing you'd change. I've had enough W-2s to know, even the ones I loved, there were things I'd change, and I'd always want better pay. These are things you always want, and I understand it's different here, but that's a different fight. Right now, I am asking something very simple of you guys. Now, I will roll back to what I said we wouldn't get into, but that March 11th date is very close for the DOL rule change. How it will be handled, we don't know yet. There won't be one thing that I decided to say today, because I cleared it with some people to make sure this is true. There won't be any cases, 0 cases, even though we don't exactly know how it'll be dealt with, there will be 0 cases of anything that will benefit an independent contractor that comes out of this rule change. There will be no benefit at all. So again, if you're still sticking with this and you want to be an independent contractor and remain one, and yes, it's on the table, folks. Don't be thinking that things will just get better, okay? Because we've tried the writing in, this, that, the other, and a lot of you have done it, and thank you. But we need to go a step above what these people have done, because the people who have wrote in are only a very small percentage of the gig workers per state. And as I've said many times, not many of us write our congressman at all, but nobody writes their congressman when they're happy. Bang up job, so-and-so. Love it. Keep up the good work. People write when they're pissed off. So people have wrote their elected officials and said, listen, I don't know what to do. I can't make the money on here. The answer would be, there's so many factors. What city are you in? It's probably oversaturated. Is it a sanctuary city? It's triple oversaturated. You got this problem. So there's a lot of factors. But then it's also, are you able to do this kind of work? Can you take a bad day? Do you understand that a bad day is a bad day, and that maybe the next day you can get past it? This is a service industry mentality. We are asking that you record a 30 to 60 second video or audio on your phone, real easy. You say your first name, the city you live or work in, either one, and then why you like being an independent contractor. And this is very key here. Why you enjoy being an independent contractor, and keep it positive. Again, if you start mentioning that, I love it, but the money's down, that actually ends up being a perk to the union fight. I just want to hear why you love it. And we're getting more and more videos in. I dropped a video yesterday the video, if you haven't seen it, the link is in the show notes or the video description of this. So click it. It's 6 minutes long. It's got 6 different people who made videos. They were the first 6. It's Pedro, Bud Soda, Xander, Joe, or Dave, Larry. There's new ones coming in too. And then today we've had more. So these are great. 30 to 60 seconds. You just say that, first name, city you're in, why you prefer to be an independent contractor. Then click the Dropbox link in the video description below. Again. And that link, you don't have to log into. It takes you to a Dropbox. You drop your video. You put your first name in and your email, because the email is required to drop something on Dropbox. But just put your email if you want to use a secondary. It doesn't matter. The emails don't even get shared with us. And that's actually something we're looking into, because that we may need to be able to have those email addresses for databases for searching points, especially once this grows, because we had like 5, and now we have like we're over 20 now. And I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but it's very grassroots and it's growing quick. But if you guys, you don't have to be a content creator. All you have to do is be a gig worker. Traditional or platform, but it's really based here today on the platforms: DoorDash, Uber, Lyft, Instacart, Grubhub, the giants, because a lot of the smaller ones are different. And even now, those might be different from one another. But if they're transparent and this and that, there are some factors where I say, okay, they're doing their job. That's fine. If you can, please make a 30 to 60 second video. Everybody seems to be doing these, and they're all wonderful. Again, watch the link of the first 5 that were dropped. They're great, and they're all unique and different, and they all have a different story to tell. They're very powerful, and they're going to help in this fight to help us remain independent contractors. Mike has a lot more ties in Washington and with politicians than I do. So between the two of us, we are hoping to get if you guys record the video, we'll do all the legwork. All you have to do is record a video, why you like being an independent contractor, upload it to the Dropbox link in the notes. We'll take care of the rest. We'll get it handled. We'll get them submitted to the right people. We'll make sure that the right people are seeing them. And from there, we'll see where this goes, and I will update you. Next week, we will be back to normal 13 minutes, but we had to do this week. It's time sensitive. And that's 13 minutes of gig news in just under 13 minutes. Peace, y'all.